Hello, this is the best of another weekend of the Vanarama National League. Included in the next half an hour is a top-of-the-table clash between Leyton Orient and Wrexham. But before that, Seb reflects on the main stories from 6 midweek matches in England's 5th tier.
After a pair of poor results, Leyton Orient had shifted back onto Wrexham's coattails with victory at relegation-threatened Havant. This time they took a trip to Barrow, where in the 13th minute, Sam Ling's surely attempted cross picked out the perfect target, the 22-year-old's first goal for the club. Jay Simpson was once on the books at Arsenal, though as recently as October the striker was plying his trade in the MLS after leaving Leyton Orient in 2017. Back with the O's, he struck just after half-time for his first goal since his return. Jordan Maguire-Drew has really caught the eye since joining from Brighton in January, with the winger scoring a stunning volley last weekend. His finish for the visitors' third this time round was a little simpler, as Justin Edinburgh's men look set for back-to-back victories on the road. Just when the Londoners seemed to be cruising, Josh Kay's deflected effort pulled one back for Barrow. Point-wise, the Cumbrians are double figures off the playoff places and the same from the relegation zone. Yet with 15 minutes still to play, Reece Turner made the visitors sweat a touch more. In the end, however, Orient would hold on to close the gap at the summit. A recent 5-game winless run threatened to derail Salford's promotion bid, but after a 1-0 win at Ebbsfleet, they wasted no time against fellow promotion hopeful Sutton. Just under 12 minutes on the clock when Emmanuel Diasoui opened the scoring. Carpiajani had netted the only goal last time round, and 10 minutes into the second half, the prolific defender struck his 8th of the season. Back-to-back clean sheet victories delay any suggestion of a promotion blip. With Gateshead and Eastleigh not in action, Harrogate had the opportunity to leapfrog into the playoff places. Town had been denied 3 points at home by a late Dagenham equaliser, but this time round it proved their turn to nick it late on. In the 93rd minute, Bromley's Jonathan Hooper handled, and Jack Muldoon made no mistake from the spot to move the Yorkshireman up to 6th. Another week, another defeat for bottom side Braintree, who suffered a 4th loss on the bounce. Charlie Carter picking out the corner to put Chesterfield 2 up before half-time. Scott Bowden later beat Ben Killip to the ball for his 2nd of the game to cap the victory. An important win for Chesterfield that moved them away from the relegation places. In their battle to stay away from trouble, Chike Candy thought he picked up a vital 85th minute winner for Dagenham and Redbridge. Only for Maidenhead to equalise in added time through Alfie Kilgore, though still an important point for both in the hopes of avoiding the drop. Halifax had little issue overcoming Barnet once James Ferry had provided a 2-goal lead on the hour mark. Before the end, Manny Duku would finish off a breakaway move to make it 5 games unbeaten and move the Shaymen further away from danger.
What a game we had in store then in East London, as leaders Wrexham were at 2nd place Leyton Orient, who knew a victory would see them move in front of their opponents. Your commentators for this one, Adam Virgo and Adam Summerton.
Tollett trying to make something of this up against Ekpiteta. He's done really well and fired narrowly wide by Tollett. It's the closest that Wrexham have come.
That's an unlucky strike there from Ben Tollett.
Pass finds Simpson. He's done really well here. Referee's played an advantage. Simpson finds Sling. And Bon!
I think the header, when it comes in, just takes a slight deflection that maybe have just changed the pathway of the cross coming into Macaulay Bon.
Maguire-Drew. Brophy. Bon, Simpson, Ekpiteta, in! Ekpiteta for Orient!
They really defend their line very, very well. Not really clearing it. And an unlikely source, Marvin Ekpiteta. What a huge goal this is in the context of the National League, Adam.
difficult conditions, blustery, made it difficult for both teams, and I just didn't feel that we had the composure when them chances come along in the first half, and I thought we were too eager to get to the centre of Wrexham and get to the goal too quickly rather than getting wide. But we addressed one or two things at half time, and I thought we were better, but with probably less chances in the second half.
There was nothing much between the teams, I thought, either way. A bit open at times, we were attacking, they'd attack, but we were just lacking that final bit of quality, both teams, I thought, in that final third. But like I said, a little bit of luck where the ball's dropped to the centre back on the edge of the box. He struck one, I think it's deflected off our skipper Sean Pearson and just creeped in that near post.
Right below Orient and Wrexham, Solihull Moors were at Salford City, going for a 5th away win in succession, but the hosts had won their previous 2 after 3 defeats in a row. From a first-half corner in the northwest, Alex Gudger was kept out twice by the hosts' keeper Chris Neal. Then 10 minutes into the second period, from a Devonte Redmond free kick, captain Liam Hogan was able to head home, making it 1-0 to Salford. Moors, who ended last season 18th, sought to equalise, but a swerving Lee Vaughan effort went wide of Neal's goal. Around their own area, Solihull opted to play out from the back, possibly with Pep Guardiola-managed Manchester City, one of Tim Flower's old teams. But this only led to Redmond stealing possession and a wonder strike by Matt Green that clinched victory and moved Salford to within a point of Moors and 4 away from leaders Leyton Orient.
Following those wins for Orient and Salford, AFC Fylde were hoping to stay with the pack by beating lower mid-table Boreham Wood. The visitors started strongly. Nick Horton had an early long-range shot, smartly saved by Ryan Huddart. The home side then had their own effort from distance, Kieran Murtagh winning the ball before stinging the hands of Jay Lynch. But within the first quarter of the contest, it was Fylde who struck first. Tom Crawford's miscued effort pretty much bobbling through into the path of a no doubt grateful Neil Byrne, his first goal since October. However, Fylde's promotion hopes suffered something of a setback when Justin Shebu was brought down just before the hour mark. Bradley Ash stepped up only to see Lynch make the save, but fortunately for Jamal Fifield, the ball fell to his feet and his equaliser would prove the last goal of the game.
Cressing Road hosted Braintree Town, who had lost their last 4, and Harrogate Town, who were still in a playoff position, having won 4 of their previous 6. It took only a minute for Simon Weaver's men to get going in Essex. With the hosts' keeper Ben Killett badly placed, Jack Emmett was able to capitalise, netting for the first time since September 1-0. And with the fixture still only 10 minutes old, Mark Beck was allowed to run in behind and round Killip to double Harrogate's advantage. It wasn't looking good at all for Braintree. Both keepers were involved in a move before the interval. From James Belshaw's long kick, Killip denied Jack Muldoon, but was then unable to do anything about the follow-up from George Thompson, 3-0. In danger of being seriously embarrassed in front of their own fans, Braintree were at least able to restrict their Yorkshire opponents to just 1 more goal. Another by Beck, who's now on to 9 for the campaign. 4-0 and Harrogate's biggest away victory of the season.
News broke on Friday that Gateshead chairman Dr. Ranjan Varghese had put the club up for sale for just £1. It's been a turbulent 9-month reign in the northeast for Varghese, with the club facing serious financial difficulties off the field. Under that cloud, they hope to at least hold on to 7th place with a victory over 19th placed Barnet. And although they were unbeaten in 7 matches, the Heat hadn't won at home in 6, and the lowly Bees seemed to capitalise on the mood by creating the better chances early on. Evron Mason-Clark seeing his header saved by Ainsley Pears. They eventually did break through though, this time Mason-Clark onside to put the visitors in front midway through the first half. His first goal since New Year's Day. Shaq Coulthurst had provided the assist, but that would be the last time he would aid his teammates. The forward picked up a second yellow card for simulation right at the end of the opening period. Gateshead took advantage just 3 minutes after the break. Connor Thompson's cross converted by Greg Ollie. The Tynesiders had beaten the Bees 2-1 at the Hive in November, and they replicated that result on their own patch. Tom White guiding home the winner for his first goal since October to put a smile on the fans' faces following Friday's fallout.
After Chesterfield's much-needed midweek win over Braintree, Eastleigh were next up, a side going for a fourth away win in succession in the fifth tier. With half an hour gone in the Midlands, a free kick for the home side was flicked on by Will Evans and bundled in by Forest Green Rovers loanee Hayden Hollis 1-0. Then at the other end, with only a minute before the interval, a Chris Zabrowski delivery was turned in by Paul McCallum. Eastleigh's informed strikers now on 22 for the season. The Spireites regained the lead 2 minutes into the second half, however, as Scott Bowden met Ellis Chapman's cross to claim his 15th of the campaign. Despite falling behind for a second time, the Spitfires weren't done at the Pro Act. From a corner, Andrew Boyce bagged another equaliser, 2-2, game on. There were only minutes remaining when Joey Jones got on the ball, pushing forward for Eastleigh. He just kept on going before pulling the trigger and sealing a valuable victory away from Hampshire. With 9 games to go, Ben Streven's men are 7 points away from danger. Before we have more of this weekend's action, the incredible story of Barrow supporter Ryan Sutherland, who despite living in Madeira, makes an almost 3,500-mile round trip to get to every Bluebirds game, home and away. We'd been to the Portuguese island to find out more.
I grew up in Barrow. For me, your town should be your club, if you will. There's a family atmosphere at clubs that you're from, and there's a connection that you can't really replicate if you support a team like a Manchester United. We moved to Madeira about 18 months ago, me and my family, and we run a business over here called Madeira Trike Tours, but that doesn't stop me going. I get to Barrow games every week. Last year I ended up going to every single one, home and away. I think I travelled just over 100,000 miles, probably cost me around about £11,000. Any fan knows when you're in a relegation battle, you'll do anything to back your team. So I leave usually about 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, and then it's a 4-hour flight to London or Manchester. I'll make my way in and get the train up to Barrow. So it's usually 10, 11, 12 hours travelling time. I think any Barrow fan will tell you if you did it for the winning, you wouldn't be a Barrow fan for very long. There's just something about following Barrow and being stood on the terraces with people that you might not mix with normally in everyday life, but somehow the football club just brings everyone together on a Saturday, wherever it is in the country, to get behind your team, and there's something about that that you can't replicate in any other walk of life. When I think of the reason why I do it, it probably comes down to on a Saturday at 3 o'clock, whatever country I'm in, there's nowhere else I'd rather be than at Holker Street watching Barrow or wherever Barrow are playing. And I think ultimately many football fans will feel the same. It doesn't matter how you get there or what time you get there or how much it costs to get there. As long as you're there watching your team, that's all that matters.
Ryan and Ian Evert would have been confident playing at home to Aldershot Town, a side that Barrow hadn't lost against in 6, and generally Gary Waddock's shots continue to struggle after making last season's playoffs. With half an hour played in Cumbria, the hosts were evidently happy to be patient out wide, and the visitors provided Lewis Hardcastle with ample time to eventually tee up Port Vale loanee Dior Angus, who opened the scoring with his 2nd of the campaign. Half hour later, into the second period at Holker Street, shots were after what would be only their 28th goal of the season in the National League. Adam McDonnell was able to get the better of Joel Dixon, making it 1-1. Up at the other end, with only 4 minutes remaining, Josh Kay went down after a clumsy challenge by Alex Finney, penalty to Barrow. Kay stepped up, denied though by Jake Cole, who went the right way. The drama didn't end there. Deep into added time, the home team were awarded another penalty as a corner was ruled to have come off the hand of Aldershot's captain, Luke Howell. It was John Rooney's turn from 12 yards and he did beat Cole, scoring for the first time since December to extend Barrow's undefeated run over Aldershot.
2 wins from their last 3 had helped Dover stay just 1 place yet 4 points above the relegation zone, ahead of a long trip to Victoria Park. The Whites also arrived with 3 victories from their 3 matches against Hartlepool since the latter's demotion from the Football League. And the visitors carried that confidence into the opening half an hour, as Alfie Pavey finished pretty well to score in consecutive games. And they were 2 up before half-time. It seems that every week recently, Jai Reason makes an impact for Dover, and the 29-year-old netted for a 5th match in succession with another strike to join some of his recent wonder goals. With Dover seemingly heading for victory, the match turned with 20 minutes to go, when Bobby Joe Taylor handled a cross from Luke Molyneux. Josh Hawkes made no mistake from the resulting spot kick, and it was game on. 2-1 became 2-2 just a few minutes later. Another penalty for the home side, as Luke James was bundled over by Anthony Jeffrey, much to the fury of the visiting players. Hawkes again the man to step up, only this time in the opposite corner, and Dover had thrown away their lead in no time. But that wasn't the end of the headache for Andy Hessenthaler. In the first minute of added time, Molyneux, on loan from Sunderland, scored his first goal for Hartlepool to complete the comeback. The first time the club have won from 2 goals down in nearly 10.5 years, and as it stands, survival at least seems pretty certain.
Relegation threatened Havant Waterlooville had won only 1 in 15 on the road, and they faced fellow strugglers Maidstone United, who hadn't tasted victory at home in 14 fixtures. Past the half-hour mark in Kent, Blair Turgott provided for 17-year-old debutant Jake Embry, and coolly finishing like a veteran, he made it 1-0 to the Stones. Then just before the break, Maidstone broke once more at the Gallagher Stadium. And this time it was Jack Powell's turn, and he also oozed composure, getting the better of Ben Dudzinski to score a 3rd of the season. John Still and Hakan Hayretten have finally won at home.
I keep saying this, the team is not just a team on the pitch, the team are you guys, the people that collect the money in the turnstiles, that clean the stands, that print the tickets. The team is the bigger team, and we got the points, not just for the club, but for everybody and the supporters, because it's long overdue and it will give the whole club a lift.
A meeting of 2 London mid-tablers at Victoria Road as Dagenham and Redbridge met Bromley. The visitors had been denied a point in midweek after conceding that added time penalty away to Harrogate. This time on their travels, they were behind after only 3 minutes. Angelo Balanta on the end of a free kick from Jack Munns. Shortly afterwards, another Munns set piece from a little further out, and a 5th goal in 8 matches for Connor Wilkinson. Bromley 2 down in the first 15 minutes. With just 1 defeat in their first 8 matches of 2019, Bromley had hopes of being involved in the playoff mix, but back-to-back losses had severely knocked their confidence. Luck was also against them when somehow JJ Hooper was kept out by Elliot Justin. The Daggers hadn't beaten anyone at home by more than 2 goals since a 5-1 win against Bromley in August 2017, and the same opponent helped end that sequence by allowing substitute Chike Candy to waltz towards their goal, and helped move Peter Taylor's men level on points with their Greater London rivals.
Sutton United's quest to make the playoffs continued away at Maidenhead United, a side that Paul Doswell's men had failed to beat in 8 attempts. Within the first quarter of an hour, a long throw from the visitors almost led to a spectacular opener from Craig Eastman, denied by Carl Pentney. Soon after the restart in Berkshire came a high challenge on the away team's Dean Beckwith. The foul from Mike Fondop left referee Sam Allison with little option but to show a straight red card, reducing Maidenhead to 10 men. Aggression continued in added time, including a clash between James Comley and Sutton's Eastman. Initially, Eastman was cautioned by Allison, but following consultation with one of his assistants, the card was upgraded to red. With a once more level playing field, Alan Devonshire's side drove forward in the 95th minute. Harold Odomati was able to find Ryan Upward, and he was able to find the back of the net for the second time in 3 matches. Maidenhead are now 9 clear of the relegation zone. This weekend we only had 11 fifth-tier games as Halifax Ebbsfleet was off due to bad weather. The big news is at the top with Leyton Orient now in first thanks to that narrow Wrexham victory. Solihull stay third despite defeat to Salford, who are now only a point behind Tim Flower's Moors. There's no change when it comes to the bottom 4. Maidstone are still 10 points away from safety despite a rare home win. Barnet's second defeat in a week means they're just 5 clear of the drop zone. Back to Seb now for our game of the week in the 6th tier.
In the National League South, leaders Torquay faced a tricky trip to promotion hopefuls Billericay Town, with the Essex club hoping to cut the gap at the top to 5 points. However, with 11 minutes remaining, the visitors grabbed the advantage. A patient move, finished off by substitute Calvin Kalala. The final pass from captain Asa Hall, and they looked well set to bounce back from defeat at home to bottom club Weston-super-Mare. Following a short spell with Maidstone earlier this season, Harry Wheeler is back in the Billericay dugout. But a couple of minutes after falling behind in this contest, the young manager saw his side concede a decisive second. Jamie Reid stepping inside home defender Charlie Wasmer, and Torquay had sealed an excellent away victory. Wasmer's disappointing end to the match continued as the defender first brought down Seiko Jenner, then went head-to-head with a Torquay striker. A red card followed as Billericay dropped down to 7th, hanging on to the last of the playoff places.
So that win for Torquay means they remain top of National League South through goal difference only. Right behind them, Woking, who won 2-0 at home to Chippenham. And what a game at Oxford City, 5-3. They eventually went down to Hampton and Richmond. In the north, Chorley are now first, and this is thanks to a convincing 3-0 win at home to Kidderminster. Stockport slipped to second after they went down 1-0 at Brackley, and there was a surprise defeat for Telford, losing 3-1 at home to relegation-threatened FC United of Manchester. Before we go, a reminder of BT Sport's FA Cup double next Saturday, an FA Cup quarter-final double. First up at 11:45, we're at Vicarage Road as Watford host the 2016 runners-up Crystal Palace. Then at 5, you can see Premier League leaders Manchester City face the Championship Swansea. Both matches are exclusively live on BT Sport 2 HD and on our 4K UHD channel. That's it for this week from Seb, myself and the rest of the BT Sport National League squad. We'll see you in a week's time.